Welcome everyone. Today we have episode 2 of our podcast journey. I hope you all enjoyed the first one and learned a lot from it. Today we have a new episode for you guys with a new subject. I received a lot of questions on Instagram concerning sleep and recovery, so let's get to it after a quick intro.
Every transformation always gets worse before it gets better. It's supposed to be that way.
Keep going. Keep going. Don't quit. You're already in pain. You're already struggling. Get something for your pain. It doesn't make sense to go through pain and then not get nothing on the other side of it.
Woo! Ain't chasing a bitch, I'm chasing a dream. You know the routine. Oh damn, look what a nigga that made of the team. You know the routine. I know why they jealous, I be on the type of stuff they never seen. You know the routine. Woo! Whole never level, I shit on the niggas and ain't even mean it. Whoa, whoa. Young nigga blowing all money, spend a million, make back. Whoa. Made enough off all hustle, I don't even got.
To become a great athlete, just training hard won't be enough. Elite athletes have mental preparation, nutrition guides, workout routines, and most importantly, a sleep pattern they need to respect. But how much sleep is enough sleep? Not getting enough sleep doesn't only make you tired the next day, it has a big impact on what's happening inside your body. One study tracked the Stanford University basketball team for several months. Players added an average of almost 2 hours of sleep a night. The results? Players increased their speed by 5%, their free throws were 9% more accurate, they had faster reflexes and felt happier. Other studies have shown similar benefits for football players and other athletes. For example, well-rested tennis players have a 4.2% increase in hitting accuracy, well-rested swimmers showed a 17% improvement in starting times, well-rested football players dropped 0.1 second of their 40-yard dash time, and under-rested athletes lost 20 pounds of their bench press only after 4 days of bad sleeping. Another study found that athletes who had less than 8 hours of sleep compared to the other athletes who slept 8 hours or more were 1.7 times more likely to experience an injury. Just to be sure, let's read that again. So, an athlete who sleeps less than 8 hours is 1.7 times more likely to experience an injury. So, to all the people who are watching this and who doesn't get their 8 hours of sleep a night, just hear again what I said and think about it. Professional athletes such as LeBron James, Roger Federer and Usain Bolt are on record as saying they need to sleep 10 to 12 hours a night to perform at their highest level. So let's pick LeBron James and see what his secret is to better sleep and performance. Earlier in his career, we heard him on a podcast with his personal trainer talking about the importance of sleep for recovery. So let's hear how that went.
The body does recover and it heals itself while we're asleep, while we reach our REM sleep and our deep sleep. So any athlete, and you don't have to be a professional athlete, whatever athlete at whatever level, you can be a businessman, a doctor, lawyer, etc. You need your sleep, guys, and you must sleep in order to recover from whatever it is, either playing an NBA game or a big night or a big day in the courtroom, in the hospital room or whatever. Sleeping is when the body heals itself. So it's very, very important.
Are there any particular techniques or tools or recommendations that you found to be helpful with athletes, or that you've tested and found effective?
Yeah, without giving everybody all of our secrets, right? Number one is be very, very comfortable, in that room. Just create an environment. For us, it's always, for LeBron, it's always in his hotel room, making sure the temperature is set at a particular, probably 68 to 70 degrees is probably optimal. Mm-hmm. Making sure the room is completely dark, you have no distractions, trying to turn off, your
electronics,
all your electronics,
TVs, all that stuff,
your televisions, your phones, etc. Just turn everything off. Probably half hour to 45 minutes before you actually, want to go to sleep, and just really committing yourself to that. We all love to scroll on the internet and our social media accounts at night, to catch up on everything. But you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your recovery, just to commit to just creating an environment. The room at an optimal temperature, a dark room. a comfortable bed, etc. And some people even use sleep apps, like soft music or
I love a nice sleep app. I do.
Oh yeah.
What do you use, LeBron, currently, or what do?
It's an app called Calm, actually, that I use. Yeah, and I'm the guy who picks rain on leaves.
I love it.
That's what goes on my phone throughout the night.
There you have it, Tim. There you have it. Rain on leaves.
Rain on leaves, the secret to success. I love it. And LeBron, what has become more important to you from a health or wellness perspective as you've become older, more seasoned? Does anything come to mind as having become more important? Yeah,
absolutely. This is what we're talking about right now. The topic that we on, sleep. I mean, it's nothing more important than optimal REM sleep, and that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Like, that's the best way for your body to physically and emotionally be able to recover and get back to 100% as possible. Now, will you wake up and feel 100%? There's some days you don't. Some days you feel better than others. But the more and more time that you get those 8, if you can get 9, that's amazing. Sometimes I even get 10 hours of sleep. And if I don't get those 8 to 9 hours at night, then I'll go home. I'm gonna tell you right now, Tim, when I leave here, I'm gonna go home and take me a nap for probably about 2.5 hours too. I just think that's just the best way to recover. I mean, I can do all the training. I can do all the ice bags and the Normatex and everything that we have as far as our recovery package while I'm up. But when you're getting that good sleep and you just wake up and you feel fresh, you don't need an alarm clock. You just feel like, okay, I can tackle this day at the highest level that you can get to.
So we just listened to LeBron James with his personal coach talking about the importance of sleep for recovery. Like they just said, our body recovers and heals itself when we are sleeping. We also heard them talking about REM. For the people who don't know, there are 2 main stages of sleep. The first one is REM, rapid eye movement. REM occurs in cycles of about 90 to 120 minutes throughout the night, and it accounts for up to 20 to 25% of total sleep time in adult humans. REM sleep dominates the latter half of the sleep period, especially the hours before waking up. REM sleep provides the energy to the brain that supports it during waking hours, and it is necessary for restoring the mind. Then there is non-REM sleep, known as slow wave or deep sleep. This phase is essential for muscle recovery and restoring the body. Accounting for 40% of total sleep time, during this phase your blood pressure drops and your breathing becomes deeper and slower. Your brain is resting with very little activity, so the blood supply available to your muscle increases, delivering extra amounts of oxygen and nutrients which facilitate their healing and growth. They also talked about what LeBron James does to sleep better. So we heard them talk about the temperature in his room, that his room needs to be completely dark and that he has to turn off all of his electronics devices 45 minutes before sleeping. They also talked about an application that they used called Calm. This application promises to help users sleep better, boost confidence and reduce stress and anxiety, all with the help of guided meditations, soothing music and bedtime stories. I have never used this application, but I searched some info and it costs $60 for a year after your 7 days free trial is up. This is how the logo looks like, so you can search for it. So we talked about how sleep affects athletic performances and the importance of having more than 8 hours of sleep. We also listened to the king of the NBA, LeBron James, and all of his tips to sleep better. Let's now talk about active recovery and passive recovery. Recovery is an essential part of any training plan. Using the same muscles over and over without giving them time to rest can lead to overuse injuries and being sidelined. There are 2 forms of recovery, active and passive. Active recovery involves, being active or low intensity movement like walking. Passive recovery, on the other hand, involves no activity at all, just letting your body rest. According to a recent study, they found that active recovery done at a slow intensity is best for the performance of endurance athletes. In the study, researchers had 2 groups of people either run or cycle at an intensity in which they couldn't speak until they fatigued. Afterwards, they recovered by either slowing to 50% of their max effort or resting completely. The results were clear. Runners who used active recovery were able to go 3 times longer than those who used passive recovery the second time they ran. And cyclists who used active recovery were able to maintain their power output the second time around, whereas the power output of cyclists who used passive recovery decreased. The reason has to do with blood lactate, which is a metabolic byproduct produced during high-intensity exercise that fuels your brain, heart, and muscles. On the other hand, some experts believe passive recovery is the way to go. Researchers believe passive recovery is important to endurance athletes because it reduces fatigue, thus enhancing performance. By repeating this type of training method, athletes will decrease the time window in which they need to recover, ultimately lending to better endurance overall. I personally tried both, passive and active, but active recovery works the best on me. Active recovery helps keep the momentum going. If you've ever had a lazy weekend and struggled to get back into that first workout on Monday, you will know what I'm talking about. And, as we all know, one missed workout can easily slip into 2, and from there it can be a slippery slope. Momentum works both ways, so keeping up the habit of exercising on weekends means you're more likely to stick to it. There is a variety of things you can do during an active recovery session. You can do some yoga, light resistance training, hip and core activation, swimming, walking, and much more. Here is an example of how a recovery session could look like. Start by doing 5 to 10 minutes of foam rolling, 10 to 15 minutes of a light dynamic warm-up, then 20 to 30 minutes of walking or running at a slow pace, and to end the workout, 10 to 15 minutes of static stretching. One of the most popular types of active recovery is foam rolling. It is a way for you to self-massage tender and tight areas in order to improve circulation, increase range of motion, and promote quicker recovery times. The goal with foam rolling is to help flush water and toxins out of the muscles, which allows fresh water inside the body to enter. As you roll an area, do it slowly and pay attention to any areas that may feel tight or tender. Once you've located an area, pause on it with the pressure of your body and hold that spot for 20 to 30 seconds. There is also something new I started to incorporate into my program, and this is also something perfect you could do during your active recovery session, and that's animal flow. Animal flow will take your mobility game up a notch with creative drills targeting major joints in the body, athletic 3-dimensional stretching techniques, and simple functional movements to strengthen and mobilize the body. Every movement has a specific function and helps increase blood flow to tense areas, power, and neuromuscular development. Here are some examples of animal movements you can do during your active recovery session. I think you know now what to do during your active recovery session. Before making a decision, try both. End your week with a passive recovery, then end the next week with an active recovery and see on what your body reacts the best. So we talked about the importance of sleep. We listened to the king of the NBA, LeBron James, and his best tips to sleep better. We saw the difference between passive recovery and active recovery. As I personally prefer active recovery, I shared with you guys how a full recovery session should look like. We talked about the foam roller and ended talking about animal flow. Before ending this episode, I want to talk about what you should expect in the coming months. We just created our first Dream Chaser shirts. They are not for sale for the moment, but if you want one, you can pre-order them and get a 10% discount. We also are busy creating a website so you can have access to all of our programs we will put on there so you can use them and increase your performance. Those are the 3 training guides you can expect from us at the launch of our website. The first one is a program to build muscles and lose fat. This is a 1-month program with 5 workouts each week. This means a training program with 20 different workouts that will help you get in shape. All the exercises are explained in details, and there is also a video so you can execute all exercises perfectly. There is also a nutrition guide added to this training program. Same thing as with the t-shirts. If you want to pre-order this program, send me a DM and enjoy a 10% discount. The second program is the Say No to Injuries program. This is a program made to decrease the risk of getting injured. We talked about this in our last podcast, and now we made the whole program with the perfect workouts to decrease the risk of getting injured. This is also a program of 1 month. And then the third program is the Increase Your Athletic Performance program. This is a 3-month long program split in 3 phases. So each phase has its own purpose to get you to the last stage. You will be able to get each phase separately or just buy the whole program in once. If you buy the whole program in once, you get a discount, plus there is also a nutrition guide added to the program. So, we arrived at the end of our second episode. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Same thing as last week, I will post an Instagram story where you can ask all the questions you want. That way I can answer them on episode 3. Like this video, subscribe so you know when we post new content, and go check my Instagram where I post every day something new. The shoutout of the episode goes to Arnie Q. Thank you for all the love, and see you all next week for episode 3.
If you do it though, because it's hard, it's an uphill battle. It's a path less taken, not the beaten path everyone else takes. It's a path that leads to character. The champions, guys. It's not their potential, it's not their genetics. It's their perseverance to always show up, always willing to fail, because in failure, that's part of success. Success is not, a marathon of life with just ups. Success is formulated through failures.